She walked in quietly, shoulders slightly hunched, wearing a plain sweater that didn't quite hide the faded scars along her neck and arms. No flashy clothes, no loud words, just a simple woman trying to go about her day. But in the busy cafe, filled with chatter and phones, snapping selfies, she stood out for all the wrong reasons. A group of younger customers near the counter started whispering and snickering, nudging each other as they stared at her. One even muttered, "Yikes." What happened to her? Loud enough for her to hear. She didn't respond. She just gave a soft smile to the barista and waited patiently for her coffee. It would have been just another day of being silently judged on till he walked in. A retired Army veteran, hard to miss with his upright stance and service cap. He came in for a quiet cup like he did every Thursday. But when his eyes landed on the woman, something in him changed. His hand froze mid-reach. The color drained from his face, and his breath caught. Not because of her scars, but because of what peeked out from beneath her sleeve. A faded unit tattoo. A symbol he hadn't seen in years, worn only by those who served in one of the most secretive missions overseas. And there it was. On her. The cafe noise faded as he stepped closer, his voice shaking slightly. "Where did you get that tattoo?" he asked, eyes locked on her with a mix of disbelief and awe. The laughter around them stopped. The mood shifted. Everyone watched. She looked up, meeting his gaze. Her answer? Just one quiet word. Fallujah. And, just like that, everything changed. But who was she really? And why had no one ever heard her story, until now? The word Fallujah hung in the air, heavy and unexpected. The veteran's eyes narrowed, trying to piece together what he'd just heard. Fallujah wasn't just any place, it was a name that carried weight, memories of battles, brotherhood, and sacrifice. Most people didn't know much about it, but those who did understood it wasn't a word to be said lightly. And here, in a small, quiet cafe, a simple woman had just claimed it as part of her story. She kept her gaze steady, fingers curling around her coffee cup. The scars on her skin told a story too, but not one anyone around here could guess. Years ago, before this moment, she'd lived a life shaped by hardship and silence. The scars were reminders of pain, both physical and emotional, that most people didn't want to see. She learned early on to hide in plain sight, to avoid questions and judgment. It was easier that way. But the tattoo, the symbol inked on her arm, was something else entirely. It was a mark of courage and endurance, of battles fought in places far from this peaceful town. The veteran's mind raced. How did someone like her come to carry such a symbol? Was she a soldier, a survivor, or something more complicated? The cafe fell into an uneasy quiet as more people noticed the tension between them. Whispers started again, but this time they were laced with curiosity and confusion. No one dared interrupt, but the questions hung thick in the air. What was her story? How had she come through Fallujah? And what had she seen? The woman finally spoke, voice low but steady. "I didn't choose this life. It chose me." Her words sparked even more intrigue, hinting at secrets buried deep beneath her calm exterior. The veteran's expression softened, but there was still a shadow of something unspoken. The past wasn't ready to be revealed, not yet outside. The sky darkened, and a quiet storm was brewing. And inside that small cafe, simple woman and a veteran held the beginning of a story that no one could have expected. The veteran pulled his chair closer, lowering his voice as if afraid the walls themselves might listen. "You know, not many people make it out of there the same," he said quietly. "And even fewer carry that mark with a story behind it." His eyes searched hers, looking for answers she wasn't ready to give. She nodded slowly, the weight of memories pressing down on her. Fallujah had changed everything, her world, her past. It wasn't just about surviving the firefights or the chaos. It was about what came after. The scars she bore weren't just from battles outside, they were reminders of battles inside. Battles with loss, guilt, and silence. She had come back, but she hadn't come home. Not really. Around them, the cafe's patrons glanced over, sensing something deeper. Some remembered the headline stories of veterans struggling, families broken, wounds unseen. Others wondered if this woman, quiet and unassuming, held a truth they had never imagined. Her scars had been dismissed as accidents or mistakes. Now, they seemed like badges of a hidden war. The veteran's voice softened. "Why didn't you tell anyone? Why keep it all inside?" His question was gentle, but filled with years of his own regrets. He knew how easy it was to carry silence. Like a weight. She sighed, a flicker of pain crossing her face. "Because some stories don't get told until you're ready to hear them," she said. "And not everyone is ready." At that moment, the door chimed again. Another figure entered, a woman with a camera slung over her shoulder, eyes sharp and searching. She glanced toward them, then quickly looked away, her interest unmistakable. Was she here by chance, or was she connected to the story unfolding quietly in the corner? The tension grew thicker. What had started as a simple moment of curiosity was becoming something far more complicated, something that could unravel secrets no one wanted to face. And for the simple woman with the scars and the veteran who recognized her mark, the past was far from finished. The woman with the camera moved closer. Her gaze locked on the simple woman's arm, the tattoo now partly revealed as she pushed up her sleeve. The veteran's eyes flicked toward the newcomer, suspicion tightening his jaw. "Who's she?" he asked quietly, but the woman said nothing, only taking a slow, steady breath as if preparing herself for what she might uncover. The cafe felt smaller suddenly, the air thick with unspoken questions. The simple woman's fingers trembled just a bit as she glanced at the camera, then back at the veteran. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "She's a journalist. Been chasing stories about veterans, about forgotten battles and scars that don't heal." The veteran's eyes darkened. He knew well the kind of stories the media wanted: sensational, simplified, often missing the truth beneath the surface. "You sure you want to open that door?" he asked, his voice rough with warning. "Some doors lead to places you can't come back from." She met his gaze, steady but guarded. "I don't have much choice. People have laughed at me, ignored me, treated me like I was broken. But this tattoo, this story, it's part of who I am, whether they like it or not." The tension between them crackled like static. Outside, the sky had turned a deeper shade of gray, the distant rumble of thunder growing louder. The cafe door opened again, this time revealing someone from the woman's past, a figure whose presence promised to stir everything up. Recognition flickered in her eyes, but so did fear. For a moment, no one spoke. The veteran's fingers clenched into fists on the table. The simple woman swallowed hard, the weight of the past pressing down like never before. The journalist adjusted her camera, ready to capture whatever would come next, and just as the storm outside broke, inside the room, silence shattered to setting. The stage for a truth that could no longer be hidden. The figure from her past stepped fully inside. Eyes locked on the woman with a mix of anger and something deeper: regret, maybe. "You shouldn't be here," the newcomer said sharply, voice low but firm. The simple woman's breath hitched. The scars on her skin suddenly felt heavier, as if the past was reaching out to grip her again. The veteran leaned forward, tension rising. "What's going on?" he asked, his voice steady but edged with warning. The journalist lowered her camera slightly, sensing the shift but refusing to back down. She had sensed there was more beneath the surface, but this was beyond anything she expected. The newcomer's gaze flicked to the veteran. "You don't know the full story," they said, eyes narrowing. "There's more than just scars and tattoos here. Things that didn't make it into any report or record. A secret whispered between them, something dangerous enough to explain." The silence that had surrounded the woman's past all these years. Suddenly, the simple woman's phone buzzed on the table. She glanced down, a flicker of alarm crossing her face as she read the message. "They know where I am," she said quietly, her voice barely audible, but filled with urgency. "This isn't over." The journalist's eyes widened. "After you," she asked, already reaching for her notepad. The story now spiraling into something far bigger. The veteran stood, his expression hardening. "If they're after her, it's not just about scars or memories. This goes deeper into places most of us never wanted to look." His gaze moved to the tattoo again, a silent reminder. The rain hammered harder against the windows as the tension inside the cafe reached its breaking point. The newcomer took a step closer to the simple woman, eyes sharp but no longer just angry, now filled with desperation. "You never told anyone because you were protecting us," they said quietly. "There are people who want to bury this for good." The veteran's fists clenched, his voice low and steady. "They feared the truth would bring down powerful people. They made sure your story stayed silent." The woman's scars, the tattoo, the years of quiet pain, they were all pieces of a hidden fight. A battle that had stretched far beyond the battlefield. She looked at the journalist, her voice firm. "I'm done hiding. They want me scared, but I'm not." The camera clicked as the journalist began recording, capturing every word. Suddenly, the door burst open. Two men in dark jackets stepped inside, their eyes scanning the room with cold determination. The veteran's gaze hardened. "It's them." But before the men could move forward, the simple woman stood tall, her voice steady and strong. "If you want the truth, you'll have to face it openly." She pulled back her sleeve fully, revealing not just the tattoo, but a second one, hidden beneath the emblem of a whistleblower program tied to a secret investigation she had risked everything to protect. The men hesitated, caught off guard. The journalist raised her camera higher. "This story is going public," she said firmly. For a moment, silence fell. Then, unexpectedly, the newcomer stepped between the men and the woman, holding up a hand. "Enough," they said. "There's more at stake here than anyone realizes." As the tension eased, the veteran looked at the woman with new respect. "You fought more than wars," he said quietly. "You fought silence, San Juan." But just as relief began to settle, the woman's phone buzzed again. This time, the message was different. "You're not safe. They're watching." The storm outside wasn't over, and neither was her fight.